All right.
All right.
Not sure what's going on there, so
No,
it's kind of a distraction. We're trying to open this call on the other computer, and it's just got some odd sounds. I don't know if somebody's trying to get on or what. Oh, sounds like somebody opening something, but I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, me neither.
You know what? Somebody can call us if you want. If somebody is trying to get through, try calling us on the group, or calling us or calling the group from your end, because all we're getting is really odd sounds and no voices and no camera from the other end. So we'll just carry on here and turn the lights back on.
Nah, leave them off, please.
All right. Okay.
Go for it.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Way up there. Yeah, hi, Norm. Come and say hi. Normie's here. Come on up, Norm. Hello. Normie says hello. He talks.
Hello.
Come on. Yeah, I'll feed you later. Well, you know what happened? What did happen there? We had, there we go. There we go. Normie's on. I had a lot, but it's what the heck happened? You know, it was a lot happened to me, it seemed. I tried to picture myself, as I attempted to describe, I tried to picture myself in this, it was just kind of on a grassy hill in the dark, but there was stars and just a little bit of starlight. And I'm glad I suggested that idea, because it seemed to be, yes, that's to do with this idea of these ancient cultures and this, what's been going on for eons. You know, it is as long as there's been humans, there's been kind of this a reaching for spirit, a higher awareness, and that I got this. I don't really remember the beginning so much right now. I remember I got, you know, that idea, the polarity of, and just here we're dealing with just the beginnings of the concept of polarity from source. And I got this idea of this like arcing energy, and it seemed like kind of a Tesla experiment or something. I was seeing like kind of these two poles of, you know, like kind of this arcing energy. And the and this idea of the zodiac turned into a Caduceus turned into that twisting Ouroboros turned into like DNA. And I got this idea of, you know, as above, so below, has to do with the polarities between like the cosmos and, oh, here he is. We got somebody talking here. We got this idea of the polarity, like the mere how like subatomic particles and atoms and such are like a reflection of the cosmos and galaxies and solar systems, and this linking between the subatomic and the cosmic, it's way beyond this above and below is these way beyond just kind of us, and it's well beyond, it's beyond the human consciousness. It's more than that, but this is what it's pre-existing to human consciousness. But it's something we can align with, and somehow it was very interesting that in that Knight / King of Pentacles that you showed, and it has this like the stag in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I saw a stag, a giant stag, and this, of course, made me, from my little bit of mythology, made me think of Hern or Cernunnos, the ancient image we have of it's supposed to be an ancient Celtic image of Cernunnos, of this person with these great antlers, the male deity, the primal male. And I actually got to kind of ride on this great stag, kind of gave me a tour of the cosmos.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just like a little thing on its shoulders, it's hanging on, and because he was immense, bigger than a regular elk or what have you. And before that, there were other big things. This idea of, again, getting this idea of the gods and goddesses being these like giants again, back in prehistory, maybe even pre-human history. And it seemed to be shown, taking places of, I can't even, not even remembering all of it now, but I think what was important was this feeling of kind of being in this energy, and that it's a purification kind of energy, and that it really became personal at that point, because became about my own personal fulfillment, my own personal kind of purification process. It really hit home, this idea of what brings any of us to a path of spirituality, if you will. And there's an innate kind of striving involved to have a more awareness, to be more, whether you want to call it a purification process or an elevation process, that there's this, this is the root, that this sphere is sort of the root of that, somehow that striving or that desire to, whether it's as in the Two of Swords illustrated, to find peace. What is the motivation there? To find peace, to find power, dominion. The Two of Wands, Two of Swords, dominion and peace, love. The Two of Cups, participating in change. So the idea is that the life is always changing. You don't want to get stuck. You can't, you don't want to get complacent. Being too comfortable, kind of, whether that's spiritually, psychologically, or materially, or even intellectually, to cover all the bases there,
Mm-hmm.
is not growth, is the opposite of growth. Wherever we are in our own awareness, wherever anyone is in their own path, the point is to be on a path, to be not sitting there, to be moving, to be participating in this. And I thought briefly of the Abraham Hicks material about there's always expansion. And I was listening to this whole hour plus recording today of actually Timothy Leary on a record, and it's like an hour and a something talk by Timothy Leary, which is really interesting. But it was also brought in there too about this idea of the process of and Seth material too. Like if you talk about from a higher perspective, maybe there is no time. There is only the moment. But does that mean that everything that is? No, it does not. Somehow not only is there no time, but there is there is the continual processes and outpouring of energy. To not look at it as a line that's growing along a chronological path, more like kind of the cosmos as being like layers always being added to the onion from within, that there's this perpetual expansion and growth, and to participate in that. And to participate in that, you can't be stuck. I reflected briefly on like one of my very first spiritual experiences. I don't know if I ever told you about this, but I will now, because it all came.
Tell them all.
It all came into mind. Well, good thing it's not embarrassing. But I was 15, and I was reading about, like it was in like a Time magazine or something that my folks had, or something about the Beatles meeting with the Maharishi in India, when they had their little few months in India. And I was 15, and I thought, well, that's cool, like, and it was talking about Maharishi and transcendental meditation and mantras. Well, I didn't know anything about mantras or TM, but I thought, well, I'm going to try meditating. Sure, it can't be that hard. I think you're just supposed to sit there and not think.
Says the 15-year-old.
Says the 15-year-old. We never read much about it or had a teacher or nothing, so I just tried it. And I don't know how long I was sitting in meditation, but I ended up launching myself across the universe, it felt like. I had this inner experience of fast movement, and it was just like through blackness, and came upon this boom, like it was like a galaxy of stars. But they were all like sort of golden stars on this black, but they were all, you could see like this great spiral. And that they were all, I saw this great spiral of stars that were like sinking, being drawn into this vortex. Wow. And it seemed to me that these were souls, that these were lights, these were sparks of life that were in this movement with this, towards this center. Mm-hmm. And that was the experience. And I don't know how long it took, but it was certainly, obviously, 50 years later, it still is a strong memory. It was a significant experience. And so that came to mind, and it brought me into this kind of awareness of kind of unity in my life. And then I got this idea of these dragons, because I've been seeing these dragons lately, the last months in meditation. And there were two dragons, And there were two factors. At one point, they were like guardians of a passage or a light, and had their wings out. I think there were different colors. It was like gold and blue or something, bluish or anyway. So, but it's like their wings were translucent, but were concealing this light. And the idea was that the light is too bright, that we're getting up to the point where the light is such that it would you immerse yourself in the divine light and you're going to disappear. It's not time to disappear. So, but also their fire, and their fire was not something to fear. Their fire was like a purifying fire. And I got a blast of fire. And the idea here is that it does destroy. That fire destroys, but it destroys the dross, or what is done, what you're done with. Mm. And I got this idea, and I started to think of some people in my life and family that I'm not going to name names, but and reflecting on my own youth too, and this idea of how that at that time in my life there was such a feeling kind of separate from this energy feeling, and that that's which engendered that youthful sort of striving to be better or to create change or to make things aren't right. So where are they right? Obviously not right here. I gotta create change. I gotta find that somehow, that there was this struggle. But that as we do grow, here we are, like 50 years later, let's hope so a little bit. But that it comes time to leave some things behind. And there's ideas about self-identity that were left behind as a child and a youth, and that as we grow, but it's this idea with this fear here is don't stop. Mm-hmm. That there's outworn beliefs to be burned away, to be left behind, the dragon fire. Let it take. Don't be clinging to these little kind of things that you think, oh, that's my quirk or that's my personality. I have to recognize that some of these things may actually still at this point in my life be holding me back. That there still are things, there's growth to happen always. That there's change to manifest always. That there's things to be left behind always. That there's more to kind of energy to participate in that's always available. And this idea about letting those things go, that from the youth of just once in a while having a peak experience to cling on to, that we can put ourselves into an awareness, whether we want to call that enlightenment or what have you, but a higher awareness where you're always in that peak experience, or for the most part anyway, mm-hmm. that is always there for you, and that is attainable. I'm talking to somebody else, and it had me thinking about, that maybe enlightenment's not that hard to find. Maybe we have glimpses of it all the time, here and there. Mm-hmm. It's not that easy to live and breathe in it every moment.
Well, that's because the world intrudes.
But even in those peak experiences, the world's not intruding. There's just an awareness that things are as they should be, and a comfort with that. Mm-hmm. And you can still be enlightened in the world. But of course, it's easier. That's why there's been monasteries for eons, and the monks go in the cave, and Taoism, the hermits, and it's because, yes, exactly, because don't bother me. I'm trying to bliss out here.
Yeah. Don't bother me.
It's just great for for our quarantine.
Yeah.
We're all
just trying to bliss out. That's what it is.
Take this opportunity to bliss out a little bit.
That's right. Wow, that's intense, David.
It was intense, personal.
Who's on?
Richard.
Oh, there's Richard there.
Yay, Richard was there.
Yeah. Well, do you want me to? Mine, I don't want to probably share a whole lot about some of it.
But you have something to share, though?
Just this sense of there being more, and of the striving and moving forward, and how there is more time, there is no time, there is more time, and that it was got this gray mist and sort of this henge-like area with the tree and the stars as we were coming out of the meditation and moving that energy, circulating that energy. The energy would go up, and it was like creating the stars in the heavens.
Mm.
And when I looked up, there was a person in an image in gray, sort of, I don't know, almost like a, I don't know, just this image in gray, but sort of a bright gray. And I just went and sat at its feet, and it was showing me the stars in the heaven and what I had created, which I guess was the idea of, as these things were going up, it was creating the heavens. And then it was almost like the tree was like almost like a Milky Way behind it, that sort of imagery with the tree in front and in silhouette. And it was a lot about time. It was a lot about movement, and is there, is there time? Why do some have more time than others? And I looked up again, and it was my father that I was talking to.
Wow.
And yeah.
Okay. So that's why it was very emotional.
Yeah. He had very beautiful, pale, blue-gray eyes. So when I looked up and saw his eyes, I knew that it was him that I was talking to.
Wow.
And he just said, well, everybody has a time. And there is like the circle of life and the circle of energy. That's, the wheels that move us forward. And that's just the natural driving force of the world and the universe and anyways, so that's where I was.
Wow.
When we came back home. So not as deep as yours, perhaps.
Oh, well.
It was really
just
highly
significant.
Really moving and very significant for me, and I haven't seen him in a long time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I see him in dreams sometimes,
Right.
but I haven't seen him in a long time. So it was really
Interesting. How old were you when he passed?
19.
It's interesting. I don't
He
know
was 63.
if anybody else tries this meditation, and or Richard, if you had an experience, but here both of us had an experience in our meditation of connecting to our own youthful selves.
Yeah. And cycles.
And cycles.
Yeah.
I had this thing I'm just remembering now when you're talking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pudgeball cat. That where I was a coaxial cable. AC/DC, speaking of Tesla, who invented alternating current, I think, is that it was like the middle pillar exercise energy was coming from the material world up through me in the center, going up to the cosmos, and energy was coming down from the cosmos, like around.
Yeah.
So I have this alternating current, this current coming up through me, up and beyond, and from beyond down around me. That's interesting. Which I'll have to think more of. And then I did an interwoven light exercise, which will be in next month's classes, but it's another kind of light imagining thing to do.
Yeah.
So I guess we thank everybody that participated.
Anybody talking?
We had Richard on.
Don't say goodbye unless you say acknowledge him there.
Yes, thank you everyone. Thank you, Richard. Who else? Anybody else here? Nobody's here in comments.
No. Okay.
So I'll say.
Thanks, and I hope you're all well, and we love you.
Yes.
Stay well, everybody. We love you. We miss you. Big virtual hugs.
Virtual hugs.